Today we're going to be talking about how much three angles of a triangle add up to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and write 180 degrees here because you guys have probably already seen that before. But again, it's important to understand why. And now that we've talked about transversals and corresponding angles and all that, you're ready to see why that's true. Now this construction was made by someone else. Says Mr. Hale. Don't know who that is, but I think he did a good job. So we're going to go ahead and see why they add up to be 180. So we want to prove that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle are 180. You don't have to write this down. So this is what we're trying to prove. We have three angles in a triangle, A plus B plus C. They should add up to be 180. All right, the first part of the proof is to just draw two parallel lines, one at the bottom of the triangle and one that goes through the top point up here. Okay, and of course we should be able to move this around for any triangle, and it should be able to be true no matter what the triangle is. That's the first thing we're going to do. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to draw lines that go through A and B and C. So not just the segments, but lines that continue on, just like that. Okay? So this is what he has to say. Extend sides AB from transversal E. It's just a complicated way of saying we're going to draw lines that go past the triangle. Remember, a line is something that goes on forever. All right, next thing we're going to do. This actually pretty much completes the proof. If you notice angle A right here, since we drew this line right here, these two angles are equal because they are alternate interior angles. Okay? So A right here and A right here are the same because they're alternate interior. That's something we've already proven in this class. In the same way, angle C is equal to this angle here because they're also alternate interior. If we put them together that way, we can easily see that A plus B plus C must be equal to 180 because it forms a straight line. Okay, so angles A, B, and C form a straight angle, therefore A plus B plus C equals 180. It was a pretty simple proof, actually, and it's based on the fact that they are alternate interior angles. Let's see if he has something else here. All right, so that's a simple proof. And you can do that for any triangle. In fact, we can take these points, drag them around, and it won't really matter what kind of triangle we form, no matter what. Because of the alternate interior angle theorem, A plus B plus C will always be equal to 180. Pretty neat little proof, not very complicated. Let's get right into some examples. So when I see a triangle, I'm trying to solve for the third side, the first thing you can do is just add the angles up to be 180. Okay, we don't have to do that proof every time. We've proven that's going to work for any triangle. And I can use X for the third angle. Okay, the shortcut, yes, you can just take 180 and subtract these two. And that should also give the answer, just like to show my work. All right, 61 plus 76. It's going to be 137 plus X equals 180. And yes, this is the simplest example. It is a little bit more involved than this. We're going to subtract 137 from both sides, and that will give us what X is equal to. Anybody got that? 43 degrees. Any questions on that first one? Pretty simple. Let's go to a little bit more involved one involving variables. Well, steps are going to be the same. We're going to still take all three of these and add them up to 180. So we have first angle, which is just called X. Second angle, we're going to add 3x plus 4. Third angle, 20 degrees. That's going to be equal to 180. Kind of like when we solved supplementary angle equations, except now we have triangles. They have 3 angles. Okay, then we're going to solve. X plus 3x is 4x. And then 4 plus 20 is 24. That's going to be equal to 180. Then we're going to subtract 24 from both sides. Whoops. 4x is equal to 160, 156. Okay, and then we're going to divide both sides by 4. You may know what 156 over 4 is. 160 over 4 is 40. There's your hint. 156 is 1 less than, 59, good. 156 is 1 4 less, so the answer would be 1 less than 60, 59. Now, I didn't put this on here, but we're going to go ahead and solve for all 3 of these angles, okay? So we're going to have to plug them back in. Well, obviously the first one is simple, right? We know that's going to be 59 degrees because that's what x is. To solve for the second one, though, we're going to have to plug 59 in for 3x plus 4. So we plug in 59 there. 3 times 59 is, yes?
59. 39.
Is it 39? 4 times, yep, you're right. Thank you. Because 4 times 40 is 160. 1 less than that is 39. I don't know why I said 59 or whatever. My bad. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so it's going to be 3 times 39 plus 4. 3 times 40 is 120, so it would be 117 plus 4 is equal to 121. Okay, so when you get the worksheet, make sure you solve for each of those angles. And yes, I will go back. But if you add all these up, they should be equal to 180. That's another way to check your work. 39 plus 121 is 39 plus 121 is 160 plus 20 is 180. It works. I will help you guys with this third example. If you look at this worksheet I'm holding up, you can tell they don't all look the same on the bottom. But basically, it's kind of like 2 problems, okay? It's not that complicated. I know you might look at it and it seems complicated. It's not. Can anybody tell me, kind of looking at this, how you would figure out what this angle is? I'll give you a hint. You're going to start with this one over here. Okay. So, yeah, so first of all, we got to figure out what this is, right? If we figure out what that angle is, then we easily know what that angle is because they're vertical. They must be equal. And once we figure out what that angle is, then we have 2 of the angles. We can solve for the third. Okay, so it's 2 problems put into one. So I'm going to take this angle plus this angle. And then I'll call this angle x right here. If I add x, that's going to be equal to 180. Okay, so I'm focusing on this triangle right now. Once I solve for x, then basically I can say that's the same thing as that and then create a separate problem. Okay, so 27 plus 41 is 68 plus x is equal to 180. Okay, then I'm going to subtract 68 from both sides. And we get x is equal to, let's see, 112. Okay, so if this is 112, and that's definitely not drawn to scale at all, but that's okay. If that's 112, then this one right here is also equal to 112. Okay? So let's see if I can write that in there. That way you guys can kind of see. So this must also be equal to 112, and that's because they're vertical angles, right? You've already proven that in this class. Two vertical angles are equal to each other. Okay, so if I know that this is 112 and this is 31, I have a new problem. I can also add those angles up to be equal to 180 and figure out what that angle is. So we're going to have 31 plus 112, and we'll call that angle y. Doesn't matter what you call it A or whatever, plus y is equal to 180. Okay, so this is more involved in the fact that you basically have two problems to deal with. You solve for one triangle, use that to solve for the other. Okay, so 31 plus 112 is 143 plus y is equal to 180. Then I'm going to subtract 143 from both sides. Final answer. What's 180 minus 143? Good, 37. Okay, so again, for example 3, it's kind of like two problems put into one. It's a little bit like a puzzle. It's not as straightforward, but it's still simple. Solve for that one. Basically, you're going to solve for the angle where it gives you two angles, and then transfer it over, and then solve for this one.